My only problem with this episode, and it could have just because I'm insanely sexually attracted to harpies, but I didn't need ass feathers, ass wings. Those things could have been a few inches higher. I'm just saying. I was like, and then they zoomed in on it. I'm like, okay, I get it. She's got feathers.
I will be
Okay.
honest with you, Chief. I didn't
I
even
didn't
notice
even
that.
notice.
Welcome back, everybody. Joining me this week, we are down Nathan. Hopefully he'll be back here next week. We'll have to make sure he's caught up and everything's good. Otherwise, we're just gonna do what we did last week when we were down Alex and Elvis. Speaking of which, welcome back, guys.
Glad to be here.
Yep, nice to be back after missing a week.
And my other two guests returning. Perfect attendance.
Yeah, I'm still here. You can't get rid of me.
Okay, I say we just get right into it. I say we throw it straight to Elvis.
Yeah,
Alrighty. So, Darwin's game. I think this week was extremely solid, although was it solid enough to cover for the fact that we didn't have an episode last week is a bit questionable. I think considering like the week hiatus it took, and then now coming into this episode, it kind of sucks because this episode feels like it is a ultra big setup episode. Like we're finally gonna see our main character like in action, actually saving Shuka, I believe her name is.
Yep.
This next episode, and we also have this new character introduced with a very interesting sigil of water slash ice, however you want to word it, and I'm just really excited to see what happens next episode. You know, it kind of sucks that nothing crazy happened in this episode considering the week hiatus, but I do think it is set up really nicely, and I'm really excited to see what it has next week.
The problem I've been having with this week is that I've liked every single episode of every show, but I had to pick one that I didn't like. And it's between two right now, and Darwin's Game is one of those two. And looking back, I had to rewatch the episode a second time just because I knew it was one of my bottom two, and I had to be fair. And I came to the conclusion that I just don't like how they introduce new villains into, or quote unquote villains, into the show. They make them look absurdly powerful at first, and then they literally have no weakness. But I guarantee you, Kaname is going to find a way to get this dude, or little child in this case, to join their team like he did to Ryuji at the beginning. It's getting repetitive, a little repetitive. That being said, still a solid episode. That small child at the end was the same small child that trapped Shuka, correct?
I don't think
Yes.
so.
You don't think it is?
Actually, yes, it is. I believe.
Are
It
you
is
No,
the
it's-
same one.
Yeah,
Because
she's
she
the
used
one
the
sitting
water
at the top.
power against Ryuji at the end. It is the same person. Unless they're twins?
That's
No.
what I think this is.
No, the
But
idea
no.
is that the person you see, because when she first pops in, you see it's the same eyes. She has this.
Does she?
I believe
And it wouldn't make
so.
sense because everyone's supposed to have different sigils. Just because you're twins doesn't
So-
mean you have the same sigil, right?
My two
Yeah.
theories were twin or split personality.
I'm guessing split personality.
We're gonna find out next
No.
episode because Ryuji can tell if they're lying or not.
Well, we
Uh,
actually got it at the end of that episode.
Now they ran
yeah,
away.
we do see her use the ice.
Well,
the
yeah,
water and
she
turn
used
into
the ice, and then he also like turns to her, and he's like, "I know that you're lying." Like
I think Ryuji hid the truth. 'cause his
he
eyes
hid the
glowed
truth
up.
from
He hid-
Kaname.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
And
what I
oh,
took
go
the
ahead.
scene to be was that Ryuji flat out said the lie she told was that she didn't know what was going on down there. In my opinion, it's possible that there are two characters, or that it's a split personality, and that we're just kind of getting at this because I don't think her and the character we saw look similar, and I also thought the character we saw was a guy. Was a boy. So, and the voices didn't sound the same to me. So unless this is a split personality, to me, I wouldn't have expected this.
And honestly, I didn't think split personality at first, but like thinking if it's not split personality, it's a clear just weird break in character for that person. And the problem I'm having, like going back to it, it looks like that person likes to fight A-rated D-game people, which doesn't make sense why she didn't outright just fight Kaname because he beat Shuka, right? Like if someone beats an A-rated D-game person, they're better, right? Apparently that's what the show thinks because they referenced that earlier. Why wouldn't they just straight out kill Kaname there? Why like, what's Ryuji gonna do? He's got a gun that she can freeze lock like she did.
Well, to be fair, he the whole idea like didn't in well if it's the same person, assuming
Let's run
like
on the
she
assumption it
did
is.
let Shuka down there. Like it seems like she specifically set up that trap down there, and like she would have a clear advantage if that's the case. So like
It's a
you
bait.
know. Like basically, it's like she's not gonna fight out in the open. Like, yeah, right there she had like the what's it called, fire hydrant, but like it might not be the greatest tool for her to just like go and kill someone
But,
while
like,
also not
yeah.
being like while also not knowing other people, like maybe his sigil or something.
It just I don't understand this person's motive. They're in this event where they have to collect rings, yet they leave Shuka to slowly die in this subway, this underground subway system or whatever. Like there's like garage doors everywhere.
It's because those are shop doors that are closed.
It's an underground mall, you're right. Let's her like simmer down though. She's probably got like 56 rings on her, I'm pretty sure, right? Like what
9.
don't they
It's like
Th-
9. She does
th-
9
don't they-
Shuka said like 9.
9 or 13, somewhere in that range.
it's enough for the event though, right? Like why wouldn't they
I
Not that we
mean,
know of. We
not
have
that-
stuff
yeah.
working in this event against. I don't want to segue off your point. So
it doesn't make sense. Like, do they want? Is their real motive to kill Kaname? Is that why they're doing it?
that's what I'm hoping next episode shows us with this show. Because like I
So
think
about
Whose motive to kill Kaname?
the child.
The little girl. And if that's the case, she could have easily killed Ryuji right there, right? And then just like ice up. Like it seems like they're stalling, in my opinion. If they're
I mean,
that
like,
character's
could
that
she have-
overpowered,
Wait, but could she have though?
it looks like she could completely solidify water within seconds.
Was
Yeah,
he
but
fully
like
covered
we
in
don't
water?
know how her sigil works. To be fair,
Well,
And,
we
like,
saw a
we-
glimpse of it, right?
yeah.
So here's the weird.
We don't know
thing.
how exactly works, and like that whole underground mall area, like she flooded it with water, so like obviously she's gonna be able to do whatever she wants. Like I said, like we don't really know exactly.
Does,
Like she could literally just have Ryuji follow her to somewhere where she does have the advantage, and she can kill him.
I have
That's
a
what I'm saying. Like you
curious-
don't really like know much.
I have a curious question. Does anyone remember how does the water get towards Ryuji? Does she conjure it, or is it
Yeah.
just there?
She
She
conjures
breaks
it.
the fire hydrant and it
yeah.
splashes on him.
So here's an interesting thought. What if they're a pair? Because what if she can freeze and the other one
Ooh.
controls the water? Because we don't see the water. We don't see who's controlling the water until we see the child. And then just because we don't see her down there doesn't mean she can't be the one doing the frost.
That's okay. I'll be
I would
honest.
have-
It's
I would
far
have
fetched.
I would have to go back. There's a lot of things that, like
because there's
because
the
this
scene.
character is
Yeah, go
so
ahead.
weird. I'm not sure how this
That's what I'm
scene
saying.
is
Like
working.
we don't really know.
I would have
enough,
to
I
go and
feel.
watch the character I think is a guy, the one who confronts Shuka underground. I would have to watch that character's eyes to see when they glow for the sigil, which I didn't even think to do if I'm being honest while that was going on, because their eyes glow when they use their sigil.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
I mean, if you're right, that's pretty big brain. But if you're not, then
Yeah, I mean, then my other theory is split personality. Otherwise, I'll agree with you, Dylan, and this character's not going to make any sense, and I'm not going to be a big fan of them.
And my problem is that what's gonna fucking end up happening is that Kaname's going to basically bring him to the brink of like surrender and just be like, "Oh yeah, join me."
I mean, you're probably right.
And it's bothering me because he can't
I mean,
keep
it's
getting
not-
away with this.
it's not like the strategy is inherently bad.
It makes sense for the game.
I mean, to
'Cause-
be
'cause,
fair,
like,
the other
that's-
people
that's, like, the whole
that he wanted to
strategy-
team up with didn't actually team up with him, and he just let him go.
And to be fair, Ryuji's an interesting character because they don't force Ryuji to join them. Ryuji does it on his own motivation that he wants to fight Wang. And I think that's
yeah.
I think that's the best way to do characters like these is that
Yeah.
they should be driven by
Cool.
their motivations, and that the alliance should feel flimsy for the majority of it. I think the Florist and Rain kind of hop ship too soon. I think Rain's more excusable because
She's like a
doesn't-
child.
She's a
Her-
sniper in a close range mansion, and while she does kind of like work and is fine, she really can't get out of there alive without someone's help. So like, I'm
Yeah.
more willing to skew that one, to be fair.
Her move, in my opinion, is calculated. The Florist and Ryuji, that scene where Ryuji's like, "I'm not joining you." All right, I guess we gotta go take Wang on by ourselves. Would you say, "All right, I'm joining you"? You know what I mean?
Which I actually think I would contribute that to the team being smart. I feel like they purposely
True.
say that to draw, like,
True.
to see if that bait gets you. Because if you're like, I don't want to join you, and then you're like, well, I guess we'll have to take down the clan of potentially 20 plus guys tonight alone, and he's like,
Yeah.
oh shit,
And he's trying to like solo over here. I mean,
I think Ryuji's really cool.
Yeah.
While I'm not the biggest, this is a complicated state with this episode because while I'm not the biggest fan of them isolating Shuka and removing her entirely from the episode, I was also an advocate for Shuka not just rushing in and saving everyone because she seems so overpowered. So I'm at this weird point where I want to see her do things, but I don't want to see her do all the things. So I
Mhm.
think right now I'm content with how the show's handling it. Like, as long as she doesn't just continually get shafted to be a damsel, which I don't think they'll do,
I
I'm
was
fine with this.
I was really happy that Ryuji's sigil is actually complete dog because I feel like everyone got an insane sigil besides the main character.
Mm-hmm.
Like the
Yeah.
main character can craft something, but only things he's touched before and only specific types of things.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the florist is out here. I can lock down this entire building with plants. And now the new character is like, yeah, I can drown an entire underground mall with water and for them
And
to freeze
potentially
it.
freeze it too.
Even Rain is like, yeah, I know every single mathematical
I know
calculation of the
everything
universe.
I want to get out my only other complaint about this show, in my opinion, and that is that I fucking hate Shuka's voice. This episode made me realize it because she talks like the most alone. I just don't like her voice actress. I don't think it fits. It's weird.
Okay.
And like that's the like my problems are kind of in agreement with you, Dylan, of like the recruiting enemies. Like this can go very poorly if not done well. I think we're treading that line, and I just don't like Shuka's voice. So for me, Darwin's game is pretty good.
Yeah.
I feel
All
like,
this good.
I feel like they I can't blame them for this because this only is a mistake I think for because of the way we're viewing it. But that whole series of like, man, this thing is written really weird. Like that entire like sense of dialogue does not make a lot of sense for us considering we're reading a translation.
Yeah.
And the translation did not make that be as big as a thing as I imagine it might be.
Also, they didn't show us the gem totals again. They were just like, yeah, Topaz is a little higher than it should be. Isn't that odd? It's like, well, if you showed me the table to look at it, maybe.
Yeah. The
Uh,
part was like,
I
they
didn't
were
think
like,
about. I didn't think about that.
I'm like, oh, deep dive. Oh shit. And I'm like, I don't understand a thing.
I am curious about the QR codes. I like this side plot of like there might be another level to this part of the game. Like I think that's a good thing to have going when you have Kaname going off with Ryuji to also get Shuka back. Like I'm interested in the overall plot. It's just some of the side things might be dragging the show down a little.
Most of the other notes I have on this show are just like things that when I watched it and I heard them say it, I was like, come again? So like they are in a building that is empty besides them, but they have to wait for an elevator to go save Shuka.
Well, he
Like,
blocked all the stairs.
well, yeah, but where else was the elevator?
Oh, that okay.
Like elevators just sit to where they are until they're called. So everything else, I said I don't know how I feel about all the characters that got added, include like Ryuji, the new villain. I guess the Forest isn't brand new, but like
we haven't
some
had
of
a
their
lot of time with him.
Dio's
yeah,
voice actor.
the characterization on some of them is just kind of wonky in places.
Mhm.
Like it seems like they're trying to use appeals that would really just work better if I knew more about these characters and their motivations and so on. But other than
Shout-
that,
I was gonna say shout out to this episode for giving us some more look at inside Kamene's thought process about his buddies who are dead. I think that was, I
Yeah.
really liked that scene. Where
Yeah,
he's
that was a
sleeping
very good
and
scene,
he
actually.
reflects and they're like, "You're not done yet. You gotta go win the game." Because like that gives him like I like that motivation. It's not just like, God, I fucking shitty luck. I'm stuck here. I gotta beat this game or just not die. Like now it's more of like, shit. I lost like two of my, if not my best friends. This game fucking sucks, and I really hope we see that build. I kind of hope. My theory is that a lot of these characters have reasons to dislike the game now. Like the longer it goes on, the more they're going
Well-
to have like people they've lost or family that they can't help because they're playing these games.
I
like-
think that's why they're so monotone when they talk though, because they know they're literally in hell. Like they have to kill or be killed, right? And no one wants to do that unless you're crazy. Like I did put a point that I was gonna critique the lack of like change in tone at all in their voices, but it makes sense. Like they're literally in hell. Like they don't want to be here.
Also, Rain's a character who is just not going to have inflection change because that's that character type. Michael, do you have thoughts? Because you've been.
So the show, what I just went back thinking, this show is basically a Monster of the Week show, and it does a thing where they show us a villain. The villain's really overpowered. Oh, look, the main character just beat them fucking instantly. The florist locks down a hotel, gets beaten in about 5 seconds. This ice character is going to be fucking beaten by like the stun gun or some bullshit, guaranteed. It's going to be dumb.
It's gonna
The
light
character
shit
gets
that
a
water.
really dumb power buff every time for no fucking reason. The show's not bad. It just doesn't fit the bill to be a anime of the season, in my opinion. It's not good enough for that.
Yeah.
Basically, episode 1 was Shuka. 2 I think was episode 1 was the bear. 2 was Shuka. 3 and 4 were the florist. 5 is now this new person.
Imagine if he recruited the bear.
That'd be fucking
Dude,
wild.
the bear's still alive. In my
That
opinion.
would have been a bad plot moment.
No,
I know.
We watched that bear get yeeted.
bear
They're
got hit
still
Because
by a
alive.
all these
fucking
people are
truck.
still alive after they get fucking
They
transported,
teleported?
cube destroyed. I mean, who knows?
Teleported.
Dude, they got teleported, bro.
Oh no.
I think
Nobody
I'm
ever
satisfied with this
really
show.
died.
So I went back and watched the scene where Shuka is fighting the person,
Mhm.
and their eyes, after he builds the wall and makes the chains unusable, his eyes glow up and then the water circles around her.
Okay, so so that character controls the water. Was it also going
It-
for the ice?
The ice at that point was completely still. Also, the character can manipulate ice, like she breaks through and then they just grow the ice in, which
Mhm.
isn't like freezing water. They just grew the ice more.
So are their eyes still glowing when the ice moves?
Yes.
Okay. I mean,
Also,
so
the things
here's
that-
the tricky thing: the water's also still moving at that point.
Yeah, the entire fucking scene's weird.
Oh,
The scene where the water initially rises for the wall, you don't see the character's eyes.
yeah. Okay.
And then when the ice is happening, you don't see the character's eyes.
That could be intentional.
You see the
or
the
I
wa-
could be mad.
you see
I've had
the
some
eyes
giga-brain
happen
things
for
that have been wrong.
the water, the fire hydrant. You see the character's eyes go off. Then they're turned around for when the ice happens. The thing is, the characters both wear the exact same clothing, have the exact same color hair, have the exact same color eyes, which entirely possible they are twins.
Yeah, but no, twins don't in reality wear the exact same clothes.
Yeah,
and
we
look
know,
the
but this is
exact same.
anime.
Only if it's
Counterpoint.
You're right.
Counterpoint. I know those one too.
This is either my most genius moment on this podcast,
Or
this is
dumbest.
or this is or this is another. They lined the holes up to each other's heads. I swear.
Oh,
It
A
could be another one of
three-head
those.
take. I cannot
Anybody-
believe.
Do you have your thoughts about Darwin's game?
I think,
I think-
unless someone changes my mind, I think this is my vote.
Oh, I'm voting too, and this is one of them.
I am currently
I-
voting 1 tonight.
I think Darwin's game isn't bad. I just think it's not anime of the season.
I think
Yeah.
I
what
think
really
Michael said
hurt-
it right.
I don't
what
think
really
any of these are
hurts-
particularly bad. I just think I just think a few of them don't fit the bill to fit the anime of the season.
I think what really hurts this week is that we didn't have the episode last week. I think this is still a perfectly fine episode to make me not want this gone yet, but to put it on a line for next week again. Like this didn't do
Considering
anything to
the other
save
shows
it.
we have left, I that's what I hard agree with.
So like yeah, I think there are things that are worse than this, but I will talk to that when we get
When
there.
it comes around.
All right.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, thanks by the way for killing science last week.
You're welcome.
Hmm.
You saved me about 40 minutes of watching garbage, so
And
I'm very
I had to
appreciative.
make sure you knew so you didn't accidentally sit through that and then be really mad tonight when you got here.
oh, I would have been pissed. I would have voted every show off.
Oh, but small bonus fact, guys. I meant to share this at the beginning of the podcast, but I forgot. I've been doing calculations at the end of every week, so I know who has the most slays this week currently. It's a 3-way tie between
Em-
Nathan, Alex, and Dylan at 7 slays each.
Listen, you either
Oh.
go hard or not at all.
So,
I mean, I'm at 6, I believe. So
Some of these
Uh,
shows, Garba.
Dylan, let's
What?
get into the next show.
Oh yeah. Now, guys, my whole spiels every week are kind of getting a little old and repetitive. I don't want to keep doing this. So I think I'm gonna keep doing it anyway. There's no question. This show delivers, right? This episode was amazing. Where's my music? This episode was amazing. All right, we get fight scenes, a shit ton of them. We got a bunch of information like backstory. Listen, I was freaking the fuck out that we actually see this dude talking. First off, he gurgles blood for half the episode, which is pretty fucking annoying. However, finally we get to hear his voice, and he's a dipshit. He's a complete fucking dipshit, right? His name's Risu, and like they were building it up that he was gonna be cool, and he wasn't, and that's okay. But he's got spines coming out of his back, like so he's like a lizard basically. He's a member of the Cross-Eye Gang. Okay, now they're
gang.
indicated the Cross-Eye Gang by the fact that they have crosses on their eyes.
Wild.
In case you didn't get that, so they're a gang of people with little magic, and now I think that's why a lot of them sell this black powder. Where they get it from, no idea. Don't ask me. I'm not a genius. However, I am. Nikaido, we gotta talk about Nikaido this episode. She is pretty ballsy. In this world, she knows what she's fucking doing. This new area we got, this sorcerer world, bro, it's straight out of the board game Candyland. I swear to God. So, Nikaido has pure ass smoke. How the fuck do they measure that? Apparently with magnifying glasses, they atomize their smoke and look at this shit. And Nikaido's got some good smoke, bro. One could even argue that you could catch the smoke. Whatever fuck that means. She talks to devils, and devils know who she is, so she's evil. I'm pretty sure. I'm already convinced. Noi and Nikaido go at it. Noi chops a person in half, and Shin's been doing this thing where he keeps punching people through their heart. Symbolic. I know you're too fucking dense to understand it. But so we get some lit fights. Shin shows up, beats the fuck out of people as always. It looks dope. Like, can't really think anything bad with this show. Fucking Kaiman's got a new ass do. He's got the white do on right now, and he's had a Bortle episode, which God, I fucking hate him anyway, so it's fine. And we get a new ending. Ending. What's that thing? What's it called? New ending song thingy?
ED.
Yeah, new ED.
Just
Like what?
ending shortened.
What show's so amazing that they got 3 EDs already, right? Can you name any other shows that got 3 EDs
Also, the ED's a Doom reference.
though? All right, that's all I got. So all I could say is that this is clearly the best show. Just here again to tell you that. So go ahead.
I'll talk quick first. This episode kind of like hit home on a point that I think I've only just realized now. N's group, while like they're clearly an antagonist to Kaiman, doesn't really feel like the bad guys because of how much time we spend with them, which I think is really interesting because we get this odd split of like clearly N has other people he's dealing with too, so Kaiman and the Kaido kind of feel like an afterthought, and it makes them not feel like they're gonna be the final villain. Maybe N himself, but I feel like it leaves room for other characters to like adjust and move along a spectrum of good and bad because we spend so much time with them. I'm settled on Ebisu. I'm a firm believer that Ebisu is never going to do anything useful ever, and that's actually okay because that's her character's meant to be a fucking idiot who's a gag and who throws up in body bags the whole time and who gets fucking karate chopped in the head 6 times and squeaks each time it happens. Maybe she'll fuck something up one day. I'm not banking on it. I don't care anymore to think like that. Otherwise, I love everything else about this episode. I love the focus on the Kaido. I think it's a
Wait,
very
are you
strong
saying
way to do this. Huh?
Are you saying you don't like Ebisu?
I didn't know. No, I just think my original point I made was like, oh, they hyped Ebisu up to be like this very powerful and important character, and now she's a gag. I like her as a gag. It works. Like, it's grown on me a little. I'm coming to terms with that fact of what I thought the character was going to be is not what I'm getting, and you know what? It's okay. Because I think this show's
Gotcha.
handling it. When you look at who's surrounding her, it doesn't make sense for her to be a badass. Like, it doesn't work. You already have enough people, is how I see it. So,
Between N punch through the heart and Noi literally split a man in two.
also, we got Shin. Shin, we got to see him use his magic, which I think I had mentioned before that I swear I was right that he just shatters things. We see it confirmed. Definitely, that's it. He just cuts things into small pieces because he does it on the bullets this episode.
Super fucking awesome, by the way. Continue.
I'm done. I like this episode.
I think it was a good episode that didn't really do anything wrong. One of the interesting things is when Nikaido's in the smoke shop, it points out that one of the things on the wall is Ebisu's,
Ebisu's.
meaning she has a wanted smoke, like it's a high valued. That's the word I was thinking of. I was fully fucking prepared for when she was getting popped in the head to her just fucking explode, and everyone around her just fucking die.
I kind of was hoping that, and then I realized that wasn't what we were getting.
It really is because they can't kill that one dude because he's also supposed to be kind of important, maybe, possibly. You didn't put his name, Sean. What the fuck? You didn't put Fujita's name.
Is his name Fujita? I apologize.
Yeah.
They also didn't have Risu's name down because I didn't think it was an important. It's an important plot point, but I wasn't thinking of it at the time.
How dare?
Don't worry, I got
Um,
some other important characters for other shows later.
One thing I
Alright.
really like about this show too is the fact that when they do like these little like beat up scenes, they actually beat the shit out of the people they're like bullying instead of like, you know, they'll like one across the face and like, oh, you didn't just do that. Like they beat the shit out of that one dude.
This is the chop.
There's like 5 seconds where he's just kicking him in the fucking stomach.
I think probably my favorite scene was when Noi and Shin first show up at the hotel, not the hotel, we're at the bases, and it shows them, and then it does the big panning shot around the building.
Mm-hmm.
That was so fucking cool. It was
Yeah.
so well done. There was no action there. It was just showing the scale. Yeah, they're right there, but that's not who they're after. Maybe we don't know. At that point, we didn't know. We then learn that's not why they were there. They weren't there for Kaiman and stuff because Kaiman wasn't in that building. But yeah, it was wild.
What else think?
I really liked this episode. I just thought it was really solid. Like I'm liking just like how everything is coming together with the show right now. Just like all the little things we have with Nikaido, learning more, like getting insight on Kaiman a little bit. Like just all the little things I think in the show work really well together to like just really flesh it out nicely.
And the person who I really want to hear from about this show, Alex.
So I have 2 notes about this episode. That's it. So you're not going to hear from me much. And the first one isn't even a note about Dorohedoro in specific. It's kind of every show that does this cliche. And I said the most interesting part of this world is that 2 inches of cloth make you completely unidentifiable. Mostly talking about how Nikaido basically wears like a completely see-through like motorcycle helmet kind of thing, and somehow like just wearing the same clothes, same hairdo. She's like completely the same in every single way, and I guess it's still a disguise. I don't know. It's like a small thing, but that always kind of bothered me as like a cliche. As for the rest of it, like it was a good episode.
Yes, I was so hoping that's where this is gonna go.
Yeah,
That
I think it was the best episode yet. I still think the fighting looks janky as hell, and I still think the CGI is a sin against man. But
impor-
see, Ebisu getting hit in the head, the gag part wasn't funny until the 5th time, and then I chuckled a little bit. First one, okay. Second one, okay. Third time, okay. Fourth time, okay. They committed to it for a 5th time, I laughed. 6th time, not funny anymore. But yeah, it was a good episode for Dorohedoro because it didn't fix anything, right? I don't want that to get stuck in your head, Dylan. Everything it does bad,
Oh,
it
don't
didn't
worry,
do
it's already stuck.
better.
It is clearly lodged. You cannot get it out. You thought it was the best show.
No, not quite.
Anyway, next.
okay, Michael.
I'm gonna need some character names. Okay, there they are.
That's
like I know.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
These are the only 4 characters. Well, wait.
Hat-
Oh, yeah.
Hat
I mean,
Tall,
we did revisit
Animator,
the other
Sound
person.
Boy.
Yeah, like I know their names reading them, but I got in my brain I go, that one, that one, that.
Yeah, I think these are the only 4 characters who I feel are important because they've been named.
They do show the one fucking student council person, but that's
I was not gonna get that name for you. I'm sorry.
yeah. No, I don't even think her name's said.
Talk
It
to
might
me.
have been said once. So I thought this episode was pretty cool because it first starts off, you're like, oh yeah, they're working on this project. That's a thing that they need to do, and then they just starts going. They're like, holy shit, all these other clubs now want to help them. Like it's like crazy because originally, before they did the preview, all the other clubs were like, "Oh, you're dumb. We hate you. Why would we ever like you?" Like the art club. And then after this, all these clubs are like, "Oh yeah, we'll help you. Yeah, we'll help you." Like the robot club was like, "Hey, make us an anime." Art club's like, "Hey, we'll help you with anime." Except for the sound club. Sound club doesn't exist. There's only Domiki. Domiki's a fantastic character. I fucking loved him. Him just existing. Him and Asakusa had great dynamic right there. Also, Asakusa is fantastic. Kanamori had a lot of actual character things happen. It was wild. She did actual things that weren't just B wanting money. It shows that she really actually is kind of invested in this thing now. Mizusaki didn't do a whole lot this episode. She just kind of existed. She was kind of sidelined for this one. But, Kanamori and Asakusa did real good.
I want to hear from Elvis.
Why me? Why me?
Because you're cute.
Like
You can cut that out, right? You can cut that out, right?
I think this episode was okay. I just like to me the show is just feeling like a huge like repeat of what's gonna happen. Like, and like that's to be expected, right? Like, there's nothing crazy they can do. I feel like they're just gonna be making anime and then getting people's approval and just trying to build up from the ground up. It just to me is not very like interesting. Like, I just don't find it interesting whatsoever. Like, it was a okay episode. Like, I think the show is decent. I just don't think the show is like actually interesting, where it's like grabbing my attention and I'm like, yeah, like I want to see more of this, and it's just like, like that's a cool part. Oh, the animation looks cool. Like they're starting to do cool things. You can see their work developing, but like it's kind of just like, like whatever for me personally.
Do you mind if I speak? This was the other show that this is the other one that I'm on the fence of. The problem we're having is that all these shows I like a lot. I like them, and even if any of these shows get voted off, I'll probably still finish them off because they're good shows. But I have to pick one that that I like the least, right? And this was one of the two, just because it already was a mid to high tier show for me, and we're getting to the point where there's only really mid to high tier shows left, in my opinion. So reasons I liked this episode was because we got more individual character traits, like I asked for last week for this show, but only from Kanamori, really. The fact that like the stress of actually keeping this club afloat financially is really taking a toll on her. She falls asleep during dinner, but she's still so driven to like actually get this stuff working that she just like gets up and tells them to get their shit going and moving. I like that. I thought that was cool. Like, it's no backstory of Kanamori as a person, but just like we see her motivations and her drives. Like, I don't think she's just in it for the money. She just wants to keep it afloat. You know what I mean? Using her tactics of blackmail are starting to get a little scary. She's doing it a lot. Sound Kid was pretty cool. I didn't like the latter half of the episode, however, the part where Asukasa, I'm pretty sure, where she all of a sudden gets this writer conflict again. Because I thought she already had a writer conflict on this robot at the beginning. That could have been like a foreshadow for this moment, but it didn't really make sense to me because she started like writing like a whole different thing, ran in, and it was funny because I was thinking the entire time what Kanamori was thinking was, dumbass, just fucking do the thing like they asked you for. So I didn't really like that part of the show. I thought it was kind of dumb, but I was probably just thinking the same way as Kanamori there, so I don't really know what you guys thought about that. But it was an okay episode. It's just my bottom two right now.
I'll go, and I only have one thing to say about Eizouken because I think everyone knows that I really, really like this show. I don't know why, but it's become like very, very popular with a group of people I follow on Instagram, and this one guy has taken a very big liking to the show. So now every time I open up Instagram, I see a picture of Kanamori with some kind of subtitle that says "Step on me, please." So, I like this show, but I can't stop thinking about those posts. So
You
I just
follow
wanted to
someone who
share
says that
that.
stuff?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Every single time I log onto Instagram, I see "Please step on me, Kanamori." Okay,
Oh.
I'm done.
Okay. I like this show. I agree with getting a really nice look at Kanamori's personality through actions and not just like because this is a good not telling us all these things but showing it to us. And while it's not a backstory, I like seeing it. I actually disagree with you, Dylan, on the Asakasa point towards the latter half of the episode. I enjoy it as someone who like does writing and understands trying to please people with like what you're doing. I've been in those situations, not as extreme obviously, but to me where I'm like, is this going to shape up to what people want it to be? And you can get in your own head a lot and you're not going to be able to get out of it until someone else slaps you out of it. I think it's agreeable that for some people that scene isn't going to hit. Like I think that's the good thing about these three characters we have is that they're all so different enough that they can connect with a different person in each regard. Otherwise, I really like that we have the art club and the sound club here because at least the one girl from the art club seemed like she has potential to really stick around because she seems to know what she's talking about when it comes to understanding the animation side of art as well. And then
Mhm.
the other guy who's doing the work seems like he's good at what he does. He just might not connect as well with their club. So I'm curious to see if, along with Domeki from the Sound Club, if like we're actually starting to see them like build and expand the club roster as well, and if there's going to be overlaps with other clubs, and they're going to have like a larger team who works under them. I think it'd be cool to see that if they do it. I think it's a good way to change things up. I definitely feel like we're in for a Mizusaki episode coming up soon. I feel like, especially since we're going to get into the heavy animating stuff for this story arc here. I feel like we're really gonna see maybe her have some problems and maybe dive into her family a little, which is kind of the thing I'm interested in with her character, is to see how she does work around it, because they really just beat around the bush and are like, oh, I can animate under my bed sheets and be fine. And it's like, well, that's cool, fine. I'll accept that for now. I like this show. This is also still not the show I have a problem with this week.
Easy breezy still slaps.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It really do.
I ain't gonna fight you
Oh.
on that.
I mean, another thing I was gonna mention is a whole thing with Asakusa with her whole thing with the getting super heavy about the critiquing thing. She's a person who's been shown a lot to build worlds where everything makes sense. Everything needs to be explained down to the finest detail. Like when she was building the tank, how the tank's able to move, why it's able to readjust itself, what'll happen when it shoots, the fact that it'll tilt back, and then it has to readjust itself for that. And she was like, oh, how is this person going to move on the ground in a way that she can fight a tank? And she was very much needed all these different pieces, or else it doesn't work in her head, and then she'll just get writer's block about it. Which is why she needs to break through these whole things, which I really like about her character.
Yeah,
If-
you could see why that like had a conflict in this episode, because they're like, it's a giant robot. It's not supposed to make sense. He goes, oh no, like she short circuited. It's not a bad thing. It's just like, yeah, like she's being true to her character. She doesn't fucking understand, so she had to like rewrite its whole interior up so it made sense.
Okay, are we good on Eizouken or anything else? Alex, do you want to kick us
I
off
might try to
with the
do that
next
too.
discussion? It is your
Oh,
show.
is it pain?
Yep, defense build.
Okay. So I don't. Maybe I'm in the minority here. I don't think defense build's doing anything wrong at all. No compromise. I think it's a really funny show. Unless, like, if you just hate the premise, then yeah, okay, no, I actually accept that. Because if you hate the premise, then this show is basically doggy because nothing about it works for you. Then it's kind of like Eizouken. Like if you hate the premise of Eizouken, I think you hate the premise of Damage Build. I think it's fun. I think it's creative. I think Maple is literally just too good for the game's concern, but like I kind of think that's going to be the conflict at this point. Like that's the show. So yeah, I think they had a solid week, but I think it's kind of hard for them to screw anything up at this point. And plus the point where like Maple genocides an entire ecosystem. I thought that was a good moment. Very solid plot point. Also, it was from last week, but when I was catching up, I really saw this comment, right? Because we had been focusing on like the game balance for this show a bunch, but there's the part where Mabel takes damage, and Sally says to her, "That deals double damage if you use cover move like that." And Maple says, "What?" She says, "Two anything times zero is still zero," or something like that,
Yeah.
right? But when I heard her say that, I was like, "Wait, but isn't damage usually calculated, or damage resistances are usually calculated as a percentage, so as to avoid that exact interaction of numbers?" But yeah, that was my fun.
Whoa, bro, the deep dive.
Yeah, I think this show is good. I don't think it's doing anything really daring. Yeah.
I'm raising my hand to go.
Is this the show you're kicking off this week?
Let me talk about my opinions
Whoa!
on
I'm
defense
fucking
build.
ready to argue against this because I like
Oh shit!
I like
can't.
this show. Go for it.
I like the premise of defense build. I really do. There is something with this episode that watching through it, the beginning's fine. I have no problem with the beginning bit with them and Kasumi.
Kasumi.
I like her character. I love the interactions. I love them working together and them having similar abilities and it being an interesting scene. The other scene I really like this episode is Sally. Is when we get to watch Sally destroy people and the interaction with the two travelers where she just utterly obliterates them. My problem is then that they don't show us her slaughtering the horde, which I think would have been amazing and a great way to take this episode. I am not, however, a fan of a lot of the stuff we get with Maple. It's
Whoa.
to me the boss fight with the Kraken. I'm not a fan of. I would rather have seen them actually do the fight because I get it. They're going to be nerfing Acid Rain off Hydra. That's the next bit because it ends with her on top of Syrup. Now that he's giant, just killing. It's a funny bit. It's a good funny bit, but this show's getting predictable to me and feels like it's stuck in a cycle.
You predicted that?
No. Let me make this clear. To me, what it's in my opinion becoming clear that next week is just gonna be the developers have nerfed Acid Rain because that's the thing they've set up and shown us this week is going to be nerfed because that's how she deals with the Kraken boss. That's how she's starting to rain terror across plains on top of her giant turtle. Like it's
Dude,
that
but the
that
turtle's
part
name
of
is
it.
Syrup.
I know it's a good joke. I laughed the first time I heard it. Like
Then
to
you
me,
should
this
save
is
the
by far the
show.
worst boss encounter because I would have rather have seen Maple have to overcome one of her biggest problems, but is her movement to deal with this massive boss, or for them to had to have looked for someone else to assist them. Ideally, the character who's very clearly intelligent, intellectual mage character who gives them the hint for the area and then just doesn't go with them, and feels very out of place in this episode. Like to me, there were better ways to handle a lot of the interactions. Out of all the episodes I watched, this was the one where I just was not feeling it. Like the things I wanted to see, I didn't see in terms of like more of Sally's combat. And instead, I was relegated to Maple using Acid Rain to have them hide in a cave, to even more emphasize the fact that it has to be the move getting nerfed. Like, I would be glad if this show spiced things up because I really enjoyed it last week. Like I did. I don't think this is the worst show overall. For me, though, this was the weakest episode of the week for me.
Okay, can I go?
Yeah.
Turtle's name is
All right,
Syrup.
this was one of my favorite episodes of the fucking week. Let me explain why. First off, we get so much fighting in this episode. Right out the gate, fucking super speed, right? She fucking, right? And then guess what? Super speed right after her, right? And Maple's sitting there like, fuck, I couldn't even cover move at that fucking point, right? So she's walking at her fucking pace while these two are fucking, oh, you didn't see my mirage. What?
You reminded me of this. One of my other problems is we don't get to see this fight continue any farther, and I think it's a shame because I think that fight's really cool between Sally and Kasumi, and I think and Kasumi. I think it would have been really great if it wasn't just interrupted because here's Maple falling again. Like it's
XD.
All right. Now,
the show's
since I've
not
been,
doing what I want. Is my
since
problem.
I was rudely interrupted.
You're correct. Please continue.
I will continue. Cool fight scene. They both show off their moves that are like, oh shit, this person's strong. So then they don't fight each other. Maple falls down. That's why they stopped fighting. They weren't going to continue in the first place because they realized they were evenly matched. Next. So then we go down to this fucking 2 dungeons we get this fucking episode. And one thing I'm starting to notice about this show, this game is hard. This game's fucking hard. They had to do like 40 dungeons and they'd come out with like 3 medals. This game's fucking hard. I would not be happy like going through these dungeons to get a medal. I'd be like, oh, where the fuck's my legendary loot at this point, right? Like they're literally not even getting loot. They got loot once, right? They didn't get anything from the Sea King, I don't think. Which might have been a flaw. Okay, fine. But like legit, this game is difficult. A lot of these people aren't completing these dungeons in this event, and Maple, Sally, and Kasumi at one point went through it. I saw some cliches there and whatever. I actually did not like Sally going off and killing people because that was the I'm just gonna go all out just this once moment. And I'm like, okay, that was all right, we get it. We fucking get okay. She killed a ton of people. Like I didn't want to see that scene where she killed all the people because I already fucking knew it was gonna happen, right? Like, oh cool, she wants to fight everyone.
She's a gamer.
Yeah, literally she has a fucking trophy of gaming, bro. She's gonna kick ass. Hold on, I gotta go back to my notes because there was another part of this show I fucking liked.
Turtle's name is Syrup.
Turtle's name is Syrup. I found that out. They do this I like how they're nice players in an MMO game. That's rare to fucking find in an MMO game as a person who plays a few of them. So one of the problems that I didn't like about like Darwin's game is that like they'll literally force these people to basically be on their side because they're like, otherwise you're just gonna die. In fucking I hate being in pain. It's like, hey, you want to be our friend? And like, no, I want to kill you. And like, all right, you want to be our friend? And like, he's like, oh, I'm still gonna kill you. And then when they try to get in these situations, like when you have 3 skulls attached to you, that if you kill one and you die, you're like, all right, I gotta work with you, right? What they're doing right with grouping people up, and they're not even recruiting people at this point, they were just hanging out with them for an episode, is that they're not forcing them. The game itself is forcing them to be together. Does that make sense? Why don't you like continue? Anything else you didn't like about this episode? All right, the ending was just
You cut out, but I'm assuming you said funny.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I do enjoy, it's something that you only get to enjoy it if you pause to read it, is the end of the episode dialogue in the chat rooms. I think it's really well done. I enjoy that bit. Also, you know what? As much as I think the Kraken fight is a dumb solution to it, it saved me from not having to look at that Kraken boss, which I also think looked horrible. So I'll count that as a balance out on a win and a loss. There are a lot of things I do like about this show. It's just to me that like I can't find another show that I have a strong enough problem with yet besides this one. Like this one just feels the weakest to me on what I'm looking at and what I'm seeing happen again and again. And while you might not like want it, like while you might understand Sally's character, and I agree, like yes, that's the type of person she is. Like you understand she can do it. I just don't like that I don't get to see it because like if a part of her character is that she's so good at games, like I kind of want to see her be good at games. And it's like, and this episode very much was, here's a chance for Sally to have a one-on-one encounter. And while it's like, oh, they were dead even. I don't. That's not how I see it. I think that fight could have gone either way. It's just Maple trips, falls, and triggers a trap again. Like
Alright,
I don't know how many
substitution
times
on
I
the
can
field.
see Maple fall.
So this episode, right? I agree mostly with Dylan. Really good.
I mean, who wouldn't?
I
Go ahead.
I think the whole thing with like wanting to see Sally like pop off and stuff. To me, I feel like it's good that they, like not necessarily good like they could have, but it's fine not seeing it this episode because if she's like okay, you really wanted to see her fight. Wait, is it Kasumi?
Kasumi, whatever.
Yeah,
Say whatever.
you really wanted to see her fight Sally, right? Because that would have been a really good fight. Which yeah, like we could have gotten whatever, we didn't. But in to counteract that, like I feel like if we would have saw her fight like the regular people, like the village, not the villagers, but the people where she just decided to go out at night and try to get 2 more medals, like it kind of would have been lame because it's like, oh, she's so cool, but like she's fighting these regular ass people who aren't even like clearing dungeons and shit. Like I think if they do it right, which would be like in the next episode, like in a following episode where we get to see a really good fight where we like really get to see her use her full like power essentially as someone who's really talented in games and like pop off. Like to me that would be more enjoyable than just seeing a bit here and then like I think like that you could argue there's a little suspense being built up like how good is she really type thing, which I personally like.
Go ahead, Sean.
I mean, like I don't know how much you want me to like argue the point of.
If you
like,
think
this episode
Maple
just
falling
doesn't
down a
move me.
hill is the reason that this episode lacks, then I got news for you.
Absolutely not. I mean, look, I understand the show's about Maple. It's about her strategy, and
Mhm.
it has to look at how it adjusts and changes each time because of what she develops and how it busts the game. It's one of those things where it's a matter of, can I find enjoyment in a cycle of what the show does if I'm not enjoying it here? And like I'm like there are so many things that I want to see more of. Like I want to see her other shields. I want to see her, like there are things they give them that we don't ever see. There are just aspects of the game that like I think all this is this is not what I would want from this style of show where like we watched the past couple of weeks. Last week's episode was basically what I could ask for with that, with those boss fights, with it being them having to work out tactics to figure it out. I think it's a mixed opportunity to start, like I think at this point they either could have started exploring with more different party comps and changing things up a bit, and maybe that's what they'll have to do next week if the nerfs go the way I think they're gonna go. But like it's a matter of, okay, if we start to build these parties and Maple still keeps getting stronger, I don't know how much I can enjoy a show that has other characters that I think are interesting, but aren't going to matter because Maple's what matters and is always going to be what matters. Like that's it. It doesn't help that I don't personally find her character that enjoyable. Not that I really find Sally anymore because she is just that archetype, like you said, of someone who's just really good at the game. And I'm not usually the biggest fan of those characters, but when you drought them from doing anything, like it felt like this episode, I just feel like there could have been a chance to do that. Again, I honestly, if you can convince me there's another show that's worth voting off this week, I could potentially sway my way away from the fence bill. But to me, this is the weakest episode this week.
So I finally get to talk.
Yeah, go
Sean
ahead.
already knows my
Yeah,
thoughts on
Sean.
this episode. This episode was dog. I didn't think any part of this episode was good until Sally does the thing where she kills the two people. The rest of it, I was just bored. The first time I laughed was when the what's it called? The game devs were talking about acid rain, right? And how Hydra is just fucking busted. As Sean said, the fight against the Kraken, easily the worst fight in the entire show. You know what happened right before that? 7 minutes of montage. Wow, we only had like 2/3 of an episode. I think Sally fighting the people was one of the best scenes this week, but that was the only good scene from this episode, except for her being on a big turtle. Haha, its name is Syrup. Funny joke. Oh no, look, she fell down a hill. Then she fell into a pit. Then she fell down. And she fell down again. And then she fell down again. Oh, look, they're out. She fell down again. Every fucking joke is just Maple falling down, or just Maple being an idiot. I don't know. I just think this episode has a bunch of issues where I didn't find it funny. The action with that initial scene was like, oh, look, they super speed. But then it just turns into a Maple joke about her being slow. And let's go, oh, look, she does the Mirage thing. But Sally's not going to lose because Sally's a god. She's not allowed to lose. She's a god gamer. What are some other things I thought were annoying about this episode? Well, I like our mage dude being our mage person. I thought they were kind of funny with their little Rubik's Cube. The making of Sandcastle was weird. That didn't fucking mean anything other than, haha, Sandcastle. Oh, look, she was able to solve a 4-person puzzle because Hydra.
Okay, that's a stretch. But do you still have more to say?
There's something else I'm trying to think. I don't remember what other scene I was annoyed about in this episode.
Are you
I don't
aware
know.
of the fact that the name of the turtle is syrup, as in maple syrup? Like you
Oh, no.
like you get the joke, right?
I don't know how you could find that lame. Like, it's a huge ass turtle. Like,
Dude, its name is syrup, dog.
And I
I
found
don't
that
know
funny
the
when that
issue.
was first said. I think that's like, oh, look, it's Sam Syrup. Haha, that was a funny joke. When
Wait,
it was first said. And now
anybody
it's
know
like,
why
okay, cool.
Does anybody know why the fox's name is Obara? Is that fox?
Oboro, I could probably look it up and find you
Doesn't it
something. I'm sure it
mean-
has something.
Didn't we
Probably
look
means like
up-
Nobunaga type people is just like one of those big famous warriors from some time.
Because we had that, and then we had syrup, and like obviously
It's
I get
it's
syrup,
Japanese
but-
translated to vague, dim, or misty, often relating to the moon.
Oh, I know what I was thinking of. One of the
Go ahead.
other semi-redeeming qualities of this episode was, again, why I liked Sally going out and going ham on some people. As it shows earlier, when we first meet the mage person, Sally, her first instinct is to fight the person. That's her thing. She is from other games where she wants to fight people. So I liked her going out and doing what she wants. She's not a nice player. Guarantee if Maple wasn't there, she'd be shit talking everyone she sees, fucking slaughtering all of them. But because Maple's there, it has this nice little juxtaposition that's making Sally not be an asshole sometimes. But sometimes, you just gotta let loose and murder some noobs.
I don't agree with that. I think I think we know that Sally's good at the game, but she wants to make sure Maple has a good time, so she's doing whatever Maple wants to do. And the fact that Maple doesn't want to go out right and killing people, she's like, oh, well, I'm not going to slaughter 20 people in front of Maple, but I do need medals, so I'm going to, maybe I'll be back. Goes
Well, I
and
mean,
slaughters a bunch of
she
people.
even tells
She
her
has that
she's
level of
gonna do
respect.
PK. She even says she's gonna do PK. Maple just doesn't. She doesn't need to go. It doesn't make sense for her to go. That's their logic they use. Is that they don't. It doesn't make sense for both of them to go. And you're probably right. It's probably because Sally knows Maple has no interest in PK. I think that is an interesting part of the show. Another problem this week is that like the environments didn't feel. Like, this show does a good job of throwing you into a location, throwing you into a boss, and things feeling alive and good and different. This episode you start in the desert, you're in the underground portion, which is cool. I like it. I like the invulnerable obstacles of those creatures they have to get past. I think that part's really solid. And then you get to the montage, which, like, I'd rather see a montage than just not see, than have to sit through all that garbage that nothing comes from. But it's weird to montage them not finding things. Like, it could be solved a different way. You don't have to show me the montage of them not finding medals. Just tell me they're not having good luck finding medals, or do it in a different way that shows off the sceneries in a more lively manner than just solid images as it scrolls by. Like, I don't like, and that's my biggest problem with this Kraken boss, is that I don't even consider it a fight. I consider it like an encounter, because like it, there's so much that you could do with that and it's not even like, oh, cool, it's another underwater boss. Sally can go out and swim and fight against it. It's clearly too large for that. Like, it's the perfect time to use different strategy and to figure something out that isn't just Hydra. Like it's not it. I don't find it. I didn't find it funny. It's a thing that I think misses its mark. I think it really hurts this episode. Like I just right now again, I can't see myself not finding this the weakest link this week.
So to counteract your point on the Kraken fight being disappointing, if every single boss fight of this show was just a super hard fight that came down to the very line, the problem with that would be we know that the main characters are going to live, right? So we always know that they're going to get through it somehow, right? And we just had that last episode. And if they do it again, it might get a little repetitive. And I know that some people in this call might argue that, oh, this show's getting repetitive. I'm just going to see this next week. I would probably be one of those people. So my argument for the Kraken fight is that have you ever had a boss fight that looked really difficult, but if you found a way to beat it, it made it look easy? For example, some Dark Souls bosses are super easy. You do certain attacks or certain cheese, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
You could kill bosses pretty easily. Now, the fact that she was able to deduce a very easy way to kill this boss, I don't think it was a joke. I think she's clearly smart enough to realize I can't reach this boss that is 80 times faster than me, so I'm just going to attack its environment. I don't see how that's boring.
I think it's
That's
a matter of
smart.
like I think it's smart, but I wish there was more to it. Like I wish it wasn't just done. Like it's such a quick and over scenario. And it's not that I want it to be like a hard fight that they don't win. Like they can win and they can win and cheese the fight. Just have it be engaging and interesting in the way they do it. And I didn't feel that way this week with it.
Yeah, like, she cheesed the original Hydra fight, but I still find that significantly more more entertaining than Hydra, 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 Hydra. Oh, look, we killed a raid boss in 5 seconds. Wow. I feel what should have happened. I think they should have lost this fight. They should have then gone out, gotten a party, and fought it. That would have been so much better, in my opinion.
And I don't mean to critique your opinions on this, but all it sounds like is you guys just really want the 4-man party because you just want more characters.
I
Is
just
that
want
just think
something.
that
I want
hydraing a
something
boss is
different.
dumb.
I want
It-
something different. I don't think the show's doing that right now. I think it's a
it-
fair
it-
critique to say that the show's in
Sure.
a cycle of a repeating problem. And I don't
Sure.
think it's breaking it yet.
Okay. But then my argument would be who would be the two, because apparently we do parties of 4, who would be the 2 people that you would want to add to this party? That would add. Go ahead. No, seriously.
You could take the mage if the mage wanted to come. You could. We have seen numerous different characters in the background who seem to be like they could be important, and this could be the build up to introduce them. And you don't have to solve this fight here. It doesn't like there is no reason this fight has to end now. Like you don't really need the end half of this episode with the way it was of them just sitting in the cave. Like you could have an equal amount of bonding with Kasumi with them being together, and with her, and we don't know her skill set. You could flush it out in this fight along with Sally. More team combos, something interesting. Like
Yeah.
I think there are options. I don't like. Are they crystal
So-
clear and great? I don't
That's
know.
that's my problem. There's no like. The only 2 people I would think of was Kasumi and Drag, but Drag is already in another party.
Well,
We had
also
2
have
characters.
the other shield. We have Koromu, who's the other shield user, which I don't think adds anything helpful in that fight. So I don't, unless you're talking about them switching in and out, taking the tentacles down, with the shielders in the front and actual like it. This is all a matter of I want something different than what the show is doing.
Okay.
The thing I don't get is we're talking about the squid boss being like super lackluster because they LOL like 3 hit it, but they had the fight with the bird. Now either that was this episode or last. My memory's kind of
That was
foggy.
last
last.
one.
Last, but like that's like back to back 2 episodes of 2 very different boss fights of 2 different varieties. So it's not like every single boss fight is following the same pattern.
Well, no,
It's
you're
just
right. I'm
multiple
not.
boss fights in the same episode aren't vastly different, but it's going to be hard to do that.
Well, no, like I'm not saying I need this Kraken fight to be similar or vastly different from the other fight. I just want a fight. Like that's the thing I've liked and continuously said I've liked throughout this show is I enjoy the different bosses and I enjoy the different environments and I enjoy watching them come up with solutions. It's just this was not a solution and not a boss I enjoyed. Like
So
that's
but
where
you did
this
like the
boils
show
down.
last week.
I loved the show last week. I thought it did great. I love the fight with the ice bird. I thought it was a great way to explore talents and skills. And while cover move is abused to get through that, like it's done in a creative manner. Like this is just another Hydra solution, and it's not engaging to me. If we are done on discussion, because if we think we're not budging, and I think we're not budging, is my view right
Mhm.
now on
Yeah.
this, I'm ready to move on to id.
Sure.
So I'll take id for this week. My apologies that I only have 3 of the character names. I think they're the only 3 that like. While there are other characters clearly who matter, I think just referring to them in vague
Dude,
ways
what about
are
Keiru?
fine. You know
Kairu?
her name enough that. So
Bro, she's important.
I really like id this week. The well's an interesting break from the other wells we see. While last week we did have the same complaint of like that well we really we were hoping something different came from the Gravekeeper's well because it felt like Sakaido didn't really get to do anything and it was odd. I like this well to give Sakaido a chance to this well and the way the other investigators treat it and allow Sakaido to stay in it to me is a nice change from put Sakaido in, pull Sakaido out, put Sakaido in, pull Sakaido out. Sakaido dies, put him back in, and the cycle repeating. It's an actual break for Sakaido to like sit down and just think in a well. And while like it's not the most engaging one, I think it's an interesting premise we see. And to me, though, the highlight of this episode is what we get with Handamachi. Her interaction. I think the combat scene between her and the Gravekeeper duo is very engaging. Like I enjoyed that scene a lot. Both both the fight with the knives, both her being willing to threaten to shoot the woman to get him to come out. And then I think the ending of the episode, as we see them pitch Hanamachi to be someone who goes into the well, I think it's very interesting to see that character dynamic we have between her and her partner, and to see that he's kind of falling back with potentially the way he feels about Sakaido. In that, I'm gonna just call him Sakaido because it's easier. But that he's falling back into the way he feels about Sakaido of that this person looks like they're gonna become a serial killer. I can read these signs. I want her gone. And I think the way that it's going to impact Handamachi is going to be amazing to watch. And I think this is finally pushing us to have Handamachi meet Sakaido. And I think that conversation is going to be super engaging. And the episode leaves us on a note of we now have whoever this John Walker is with a potential link to an original well or a prototype well, and also these cameras which he's using to watch these serial killers. It directly links back to Sakaido's daughter's murder, which I think is interesting because they only say it's his daughter. They don't mention his wife, which I think leaves more room for the idea that potentially after Sakaido lost his daughter, something happened with his wife that is completely different. So I think we still have a lot of mystery to look into, and I think this sets up really well for next week.
Does anyone want to go first?
I'll talk, I guess.
Go for it.
I think this episode really fucking good. All the stuff we get about Handamachi was really good. She was by far the star of this episode. The whole thing where it's the entire time we've thought that the requirement for an idwell to be a great detective is to have killed. And then they go, actually, you need to be a serial killer. And they think you're eligible. That's an interesting plot point because they don't talk about it after that point. You're just left to think and go, holy shit. I like the whole thing when Chiyama lures out Mr. Knife Thrower. I do like how they actually accounted for the fact that he only had 5 knives. That was really good. I liked this Idwell. I like the whole thing where these two people are like, they like each other, but they don't want to show it. I find that's like a really interesting dynamic. I think Sakaido has the whole thing where he starts like crying over Kaeru's body. It was fucking wild. Him in the Idwell. And there was nothing in this episode I thought was bad. There was no scene where I was like, oh, that was dumb. Also, I think it was this episode where we have it was with the prototype version where we had the one dude in the Idwell team who's always been being laughed at for being an idiot finally be smart. And I thought that was really cool. Yeah, I just thought this was a good episode.
I thought it was really good that the older male cop said earlier in the show, like multiple episodes prior, that he hates the people who are able to use the well because he sees them as scum.
Hmm.
And then when the girl becomes eligible, he treats her the same way. I thought that was really good character consistency. The second they started to point towards her going to become a well person, I was like, I'm really nervous that he's just going to completely flip his tune.
What I
But they
also
made him consistent. I like that.
to build on that, what I also really liked is that when he talks to Hanamachi in the hospital, she like kind of shows interest in being in the well, and he warns her like, don't. So like, but when he first approaches the director about it, my first thought was, oh, he's listening to her. He's doing this because she wants to try out being in the well, and then it swerves it, and like we do get that like, I don't trust you. I think you're a serial killer. You're a threat to the rest of the team. And like it's strong and it's powerful for all the reasons you said of it. It's a consistent character in how he acts.
Yeah, it was a really good moment for the show when they did that part.
I want to give my take on the episode really quick. So this episode was really good. I actually was a little freaked out when she stabbed him through the heart and killed him because there was no moment of remorse afterward. And I actually wrote she killed someone and didn't react. That's a little weird. And we see why later is because she had serial killer tendencies. Now, one thing I want to point out in that very, very good scene at the end where he basically throws her off and you could see the actual like how mortified she is at that moment when she realizes is when it pans to the scene with her head down and you could just see the outside scenery. There's a jet going by in the outside and its path of smoke is directly where the hole in her head is.
Fuck.
It is exactly where the hole in her head is as it goes out. And I even thought to myself, why is there a jet in the background? And when I did that scene, I went, oh fuck. So I think it's clear now that this hole in her head has affected her somehow. Could be wrong, but I do think that that scene might be the best scene of this entire season at that part because we knew it was coming. We knew that was going to be like we can almost imagine what Sakaido went through when he had the same exact scenario dropped on him. I thought the train scene was amazing. That was just wow, like the actual deep dive into like I'm not even gonna solve this
So
crime. I'm just
good.
gonna deep dive about like actual like suicide. Like you're gone. I wish you were still here. I also did catch that they only mentioned that the challenger killed the daughter, and I wrote that down. I don't know how the wife would have died.
Could
Um,
also be suicide.
it could have also just been a mistake because I thought Sakaido said that the challenger killed both his wife and kid earlier. However, his mind could be warped in a way where he believes that is where it's not actually true.
Yeah.
Another thing, I don't know if I want to bring this up now, that the theory about the wife is that it's entirely possible the challenger killed his daughter. He went insane, killed his wife, and that's what led him into the serial killer thing. Was he's just broken because his daughter died.
Yeah, good episode. Elvis, did you want to say something?
No, I think like I think the train sequence was just fucking phenomenal. Like that whole thing was just really, really well done. It was
The,
a huge break. And then like seeing I think it says a lot seeing his character more in depth when he's in the well
mhm.
and really like his mind, his mind process. Because like outside of the well, it's very different compared to when he's inside, and being able to see him really soak in those feelings inside the well since he's there for a period of time. It I think it just gives us really good insight. And the whole thing with Hanamachi, yeah, the way she reacted after like stabbing the gravedigger, sorry. Um the whole like literally she stabbed him, like the sequence, if you just rewatch it, is like crazy. She stabs him, instantly gets up, looks at the like the machine they use to pick up cognition particles, and it's just like, all right, like we got particles, like nothing
Yeah.
happened. Like
Yeah.
she really just, she's like perfect. Like she did that like intentionally so she can get particles. You know what I mean? Like she planned it all out and was just like it all went so perfect and like she was so calm and collected. Like that whole thing, like really, was just really, really good. I was like, wow. And it like made me think for a second. I'm like, she just, yeah, like no hesitation, nothing, just had it on lock.
Handamachi's
I
a good
really
character.
like this episode.
I have two thoughts.
Uh-huh.
So I really like how they're actually closing out on this John Walker character too.
Oh, yes.
How they're still like focusing on the main quest of finding this John Walker instead of like all these side quests. You know what I mean? Like it's still in the back of their heads. Like maybe this will be the breakthrough to find out how to get to this person, and I really like that. Also, hot take, and I'm sorry, I don't give a fuck about Hondo Machi now that she's like a serial killer. I don't want to see her in there. I don't want to see Hondo ID, Hondo fucking Schmido. I don't want to see that. I want to see Sakaido. She's done. I don't give a fuck. I hope actually Sakaido fucks with her in the jail thing, and who knows, man? We might get another person hanging themselves off the bed frame. I'm just saying. I'm a sucker for my man Sakaido, and now that Hondo Machi isn't really the detective policeman anymore, I don't give a fuck.
Cop Lolly will never not be a funny archetype to me.
The
But she's
only other
23 though.
the other thing that I want to say is that like the other scene I remembered since we were talking about the train, the zoom out it does where it shows that the train is just going in a circle in that forest is another really well done shot and moment of this episode because it just like enhances what we already know and like how it all like they don't show it going in that circle, but the way it just leaves off as like we're done with that well scene, I think is really well done.
How'd the train get on there in the first place?
It was built.
Continue.
It's a chain
Continue.
foot.
Do we want to move on, or do we have any
I
other
think
thoughts?
we're
Yes.
good.
Okay, then next up,
Inspector.
Alex, take us for Inspector.
Okay. So I think this is probably the strongest episode for Inspector so far, I think. Because I think we saw an interesting character, we saw a scale of power, we got an interesting amount of character dynamic between Churro Guy and his ex, which was really interesting. I think she's like not even a real human sometimes, but it's okay because I don't understand her thought process. But the point is that she's a real person with a thought process, not that she has a good one. I think we cut down the amount of deflowering jokes, so I think that was definitely a step in the right direction. And I'll be honest, the part where he snaps the neck on the big tit ghost honestly kind of gave me a shiver because it was just such a crisp like you know what I mean.
Hmm.
So the sound scientist there was really good. The only thing I found kind of goofy in this episode was that Homie gets his face utterly smashed in or like gets his ear ripped off and he can't heal like in combat. He can only heal once he's out of combat. And I don't know, maybe I'm thinking about it from a game perspective
You
and
got
that's
that
why I
Warmox
found that
passive.
Dude, that's what it seemed like. Dude, like she's like punching his face in, pulling at his face, nothing happens. But the second she like doesn't hit him a little bit, suddenly he's healing. I don't know. But I thought it was a really enjoyable episode. I think we got to see a fight scene, which was pretty rare in this show so far, I think.
Yeah.
If that's what
So-
you want to call it, I gotta be honest. That fight scene was pretty trash.
Well, yeah,
it's-
it would be like if you
No, no,
tried
no.
to fight a big titty ghost fighting a
Well,
bar, dude.
hold on. That being said, I still really like this episode. I just thought that fight scene with fucking him
Well-
stumbling, like literally
Hold
looked like
on.
he was penguin
Ken.
waddling behind her, and then just fucking on that bitch.
I want to get in on
God,
this.
that was
So,
good.
I think the way they described the fight scene was very well done. Like the idea that since he doesn't have the experience, but he does have this immortality, so he's just essentially taking a beating and trying to really figure out his way in on this, and to just try to like get rid of her essentially. Like I like
Yeah.
that idea. Like I think it's funny. Like I think it's funny the fact that he obviously just can't fight. Like
It looked
he's
fucking
stumbling
goofy.
over himself.
It
Yeah,
looked.
I mean,
supposed
I
to.
wouldn't say it's an amazing fight scene comparing it to any other shows with that
Yeah.
actually have action packed. Like,
Well,
oh, this is straight fire. But I enjoyed
not what
the
I said. You
idea
know
of
what that
it.
is.
I enjoyed the idea they had going with it.
Yeah, I mean, they justified it in the right way. Like,
Yeah.
he's not a fighter; he shouldn't know. But the man's literally penguin. I just thought it was funny. I was like, bro, walk normally. At least.
Well,
I
dude,
agree.
he's
I
such
agree.
a weird character to begin with. Like
True.
he seems
true.
so inhuman at times. For him to do that in a fight makes complete sense in my mind.
Yeah.
Alex, can we talk about something? So wait, you don't
I
like
don't want
Saki?
to. What do you mean,
You don't like Saki as a character?
Saki?
The
chick.
the
new
cop.
chick. Yeah.
No, I just think she's like
what
the other
don't
guy's
you like about her?
inhuman.
Yeah, what don't you like about her reasoning? I think it's totally in character for someone who has no
No.
prior
I didn't say it was in
experience.
character. I didn't say it wasn't in character. I said I like that she has a clear thought pattern. I said I just don't like her thought pattern.
I'm just
It's
curious,
more of a
what don't you
qualitative statement than a quantitative
what
statement.
don't
Can
you
you
like about like
elaborate?
I like it. Like I think it makes sense. I
Dude,
wouldn't.
could you imagine marrying someone who couldn't get sick? I just can't, dude. That's why I'm not gonna do it. That makes
Wait,
no sense to me, dude.
that's so neat.
Dude, imagine if I could have kids with somebody and that my kids would just never have to worry about getting sick
Well,
or
that's
getting
not how that
hurt.
works.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
just don't want that, dog. Thanks. Like,
I mean,
uh,
I'm
like
really, I'm personally okay with it.
if you told me I could date a girl and she would never get sick or never get hurt, I'd be like, sure. There's like literally no reason to want those things. I think, but no, this chick's just like, actually, no. I want my boyfriend to be able to get sick and all that kind of fun stuff. So
I don't think
I thought,
that's it. Like it
well,
to me, it's
okay,
very
obviously
clear.
that's not it. That's hyperbolic, but
Well, yeah, and like they even like Kotoko cracks the joke of like you're telling me you wouldn't want to date a man who's never gonna be ill, who's always gonna be fine, like who can always
Yeah.
take care of you. It's like, yeah, sure, if you're a goddess who talks to yokai on every day of the week, you
Yeah,
probably
but a
are
normal
okay with it.
person,
But like,
like,
in my opinion, like last week's episode where they show or 2 weeks ago when they show the plates cutting him and how freaked out she is, like I think that's a real. I like Saki's character. I actually am not the biggest fan of Kotoko. I love all the humor that comes with her, but her personality, in my opinion, is so garbage.
no.
Goddess
Her
of wisdom, by the
personality is
way. Goddess
great.
of wisdom, by the way. Goddess of
what
wisdom.
she's
by the
just,
She's
way.
the goddess of wisdom, and you're just an angry simp. Okay, get out of
Oh,
my
bro,
face.
I'm a simp, bro. She didn't even have burn mark fucking choker on her neck this episode. I looked. It wasn't there.
Let's see, your time skip got rid of it.
Whatever.
I don't know. I'm throwing out again.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
I
pissed off
like this
about it.
episode a lot. I mean, when I wrote down and thought about it, I actually think this episode's higher than I ranked it. I might go and change my rankings between it and Darwin's game. I might flip them where they are. My biggest problem was that I had felt that like this show really just gets you in the cycle of episode ends on a cliffhanger, solves the cliffhanger, another cliffhanger, and like a part of me was like, I don't know how I feel about that. Like I thought it was a hindrance. The more I think about it, I actually don't think it matters for this show. I think it uses it well in a way. But I feel like if this was a different show, that would definitely suck to have to go through. I like this. I loved seeing Kuro's backstory, like finding out more about him and why, and it's kind of fucked up. We also get a look at what I believe would be his cousin or whoever he had who was in the hospital. Like I'm pretty sure that's the girl
yeah.
he walks away with at the end of that like flashback. So I'm
Mhm.
curious if we're gonna dive more into that. Like honestly, I enjoy Kuro as a character. I think it's very interesting to explore this literally experimented on child who has just no emotions or interactions besides being deadpan because that's just the life he's lived. And the humor of this episode was really good. The scene where they get back to the dorm and he's just looking at Saki and Kotoko just rails on him and is like, "Oh, I bet you think she has a nice some nice hips." And he's like, "Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Wow, you know it pretty well." Like I just get it. It's good banter. I just don't like Kotoko herself, and like it's not a flaw of the show. I cannot like a character and still enjoy the show and all the interactions with them. Like I don't know if they want me to like her. If they do, it's not working. But I don't really. Well, it's not a hindrance for this show.
How many deflowering jokes does the lolly have to make before you laugh, Sean? Just answer me that question.
I laugh. No, I laugh at everything a character does. It just doesn't mean that it doesn't mean I have to like how fucking obnoxious and rude she is towards Saki.
Dude, she's the new GF, dude. She has to assert dominance. It makes sense.
Mhm.
I brainchild thought process for this show. I think it'd be really interesting if this show winds up ending with Kuro and Saki getting back together and like Kotoko just helps bridge this gap even if she doesn't want to. I think it would be a nice character arc for all three characters for them to
I think
work
it's pretty
through that.
likely. I think it's
I
pretty
like-
likely, actually.
I like that ending. I'd be fine with it. I like this week's episode for Inspector.
Mhm. That was fucking good. Michael hasn't talked yet. Michael.
I think the episode was good. I liked the jokes were funny. I think the little scene with him fighting was goofy, but like I enjoyed. Like the next snap was quality, just as good as the one in Doro, if not better.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Hold on. Say
Mm.
that again?
I don't know, this next snap was crisp. It was just a solid like.
Oh
Nope.
yeah, dude, yeah.
Yeah, but like you saw that penguin model though, right?
Yeah, no, it was goofy, but you still had
saw-
that really nice, clean, crisp. But I think
All
the
right,
rest
I'll
of the
let this
episode,
transgression slide. Continue.
the backstory thing was probably the best scene of this entire show. I really enjoyed the whole backstory thing with Kuro. Like it really develops his character a lot to like why he acts the way he does. I thought the scene where they're in Saki's apartment talking. I thought that was pretty funny. Most just the random shit Kotoko says. I don't expect there to be a relationship between Kuro and Saki at the end. I expect after Nanase, they're dropping Saki and then going somewhere else. But I don't know. Because they don't live in this area where Saki is. There's no reason for them to still be there unless Saki moves with them. But I don't know. I just think it's a good episode. Would have been cool if we got some more. The whole revelation about the being created thing was wild.
I liked it.
I was like, oh, that makes sense. Why the fuck did I not think of that? What is this? I thought the episode was good.
It's literally the concept of like
Yeah.
the boogeyman.
Yeah, dude, but it's a big titty ghost, bro.
Honestly, kind of better. I'm gonna go look for it. We could go on to the next one. Hot take. No spoilers. But if Somali fucking dies, best show ever.
No, that's a hot take.
So
Yeah, no, she can't die till the last episode. Okay, Michael, you back?
God, Michael.
yeah. So
we
Oh,
talked
here,
about
let
that
me,
episode.
wait, before we get in, let me get you what you need. 'Cause I
oh
don't
boy,
know.
how many
There's
names are you
like
gonna
2
fucking give me?
characters.
Yeah, just so
Wow.
you have the two of them.
Somalia?
Get out of here with GD.
It's Golem Dad.
Oh, that's cringe. Can you just put gold? I'm
So
gonna thank God the whole time.
As you should. Michael, please talk.
So, Somali and the Forest Spirit. This show is good. Like, it's
Wow.
real good. Like really good. The fucking scene at the beginning where Somali's just talking to Kikida or whatever, and then you just see GD make eye contact with Wolf McDonald. And when the music fucking kicks in, holy shit, was that possibly one of the greatest scenes of all of anime. Holy shit, that music, that it just hit. It hit exactly where it needed to. It was so good. And then we get some really we get some interesting new characters with Uzui and Hitora. I don't know if anyone else called. I know Sean did. Calling that Hitora was a human. I think it was pretty obvious.
Yeah, it fucking was.
It was like, oh look, he's wearing a mask.
He's
like
a
how Somali wears a hood.
Falcon.
He's a bird person.
Oh, is he? Oh,
He's a
Falcons
bird?
just have skulls for heads now.
Have
Which is funny because
black
he's actually
eyes.
part bird person, as we see with the whole. Unless that's a disease that's causing the feathers. We don't know how that's working, but that's.
I thought that was
really
like a
interesting.
flower. It looked like a flower to me.
I thought
No,
it was like something
he
they did
coughed
to
up
help
feathers.
cheer him.
That's right. He
He
did
coughed
cough
up
up
feathers,
feathers.
like-
I did write
cough
that.
up feathers. It's because
Yeah.
he ate her mom. We solved it.
When Uzui and Hitora had the little thing where Uzui goes talks to his ear, and you see Hitora make the really startled face. You know Uzui's about to do some shit. She better do some shit that's gonna piss off some people. And you go, okay, what's she gonna do? I'm like, I feel like she's gonna kill Somali or something. But I'm like, that's weird. Why would you kill Somali? Somali's done nothing wrong. Then she goes, we could use your blood. I'm gonna kill you. And I go, why are you gonna do that? But then you have the whole scene with Golem Dad and Hitora, where he's like, he gotta help me. Uzui's about to do some bad shit. And he goes, fuck. I don't know. Everything about this episode was just good. The cliffhanger at the end are really good. We know Somali's probably not gonna die. But how is she not gonna die? Is she gonna be injured? Is she gonna actually fucking die? It's gonna be wild. And I just thought this episode was really good. There was no part where I was like, nah, this is bad.
Does anyone-
This was just good.
Does anyone have any issues with this show out of curiosity?
No,
No.
Alex?
it's my
Okay, 'cause
number one show this
I
week.
have one. My only problem with this episode, and not saying this episode, I think I marked it 3rd this week. My only problem with this episode, and it could have just because I'm insanely sexually attracted to harpies, but I didn't need ass feathers, ass wings. Those things could have been a few inches higher. I'm just saying. I was like, and then they zoomed in on it. I'm like, okay, I get it. She's got feathers.
I will be
Okay.
honest with you, Chief. I didn't even
I didn't
notice
even
that.
notice.
That thing's literally the dimples
dog.
on her dimples on her fucking hips, right above it, and I'm like, okay, like you're clearly. And then her shirt obviously is only on the front, and I'm like, all right, fine. It was weird. I understand the show's really about the visuals, but I was really more impressed by the visuals of the backgrounds, not the people, in terms of like, yeah. Anyway, I did like some scenes where they kind of negated that fact though and made her look derpy as fuck with her big crow feet. But there was just some scenes where it's just like back a little too much, and I don't like that.
Dylan, I
I mean-
appreciate that you've cemented yourself with this week's opening of the podcast.
Fuck.
That's what got it, Pete.
No. But no, damn it.
Look at those back dimples. Can't stop thinking about those.
I literally, it was the
crow
first thing, and I was like, oh shit, because my fucking roommate walked in behind me, and I'm like, yeah, felt weird. But yeah, she fucking Super Saiyan at the end of the episode, bro, and she's
Yeah.
fucking all the feathers came out. I just wish there were a little more feathers on her back.
I
Is-
have a
go ahead.
question for Michael. So did you not know her plan was to kill Somali until the end? I thought it was very telegraphed.
In my brain, I'm like, when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, she's going to kill her. But then as it went on, my brain was thinking of different ways she could do something that didn't involve killing. Because Hitora very much was against it. And I was assuming Uzui was going to do something to not do that. So it would have been a
Oh.
much more interesting thing for a character.
Bruh, at that
just
point,
assumed
take
she
some of
did-
her iris. She got too much iris in her fucking eyes.
I just assumed that Uzui did not give two shits what Hitora thought because she was just gonna keep
Yeah.
him alive. And to me, one of the best parts of this episode is just the tension that is consistently of she gonna shove Somali out of the back of this truck. She's gonna do it here. She's gonna fucking yeet this child into a dragon in the sand.
Eat this child.
Like to me, it was just a matter of like, when are you gonna do it? Like that was it's like there was actually a little bit of suspense this episode, and I mean, our only problem, the only problem we've ever had with the show is Dylan last week going, it really needs to change the pace and switch a location, to which it immediately did. It was so
Mhm.
smooth and well done. They literally spent like a minute, if even, on the old
Mhm.
locale, and then
I
just
wrote that down
moved.
right away. I'm like,
So
cool,
good.
we're moving.
I don't know what else to say about this episode besides the fact that I don't think, as much as I think Uzui is like dedicated and wants to help Hitora, I don't think she's gonna be able to do it. I think it's simply just gonna be Golem, Dad's gonna get there, and she still won't have killed Somali. Because in my mind, there's no way for him to get there fast enough to stop her. So it just has to be that Uzui just won't be able to go through with it. Because all this episode was Somali going, we're a lot alike, and Uzui going, I don't like that. Stop saying that. Bad. No. It's just a matter of a moral dilemma of like, oh, there is similarities between us, huh? I just don't think she'll be able to kill her. Maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong before.
True.
Smalley dies next week. Not the
I-
show, the
I
character.
fucking hope she just gets yeeted. I thought the bucket was her for a second. I was like, woo! Let's go! Next!
Elvis, do you have any thoughts?
I mean, like, no, it was just good. Like, I really liked how they went about everything. I think the Eizouken looked really fucking cool at the end. Like, talking about like how
Bulls.
Bro, okay.
I
For the
don't even
people
know.
at home,
Like, I just knew like the
Hold
way
on.
her like
I
the
gotta
way,
interrupt
she
you.
went Super Saiyan and her wings and shit just looked sick. Like, it looked really cool.
hold on. No, hold on. For the people at home, I'm not actually sexually attracted to Harpies. However,
Too late.
if you are, Smiley episode 5, Smiley episode 5, Smiley episode 5, Smiley episode the entire thing. Just go for it. Go crazy. Go ham. You'll have a good time. Good.
Do we have anyone else have anything to say about Somali? Alex, have you? I don't remember if you've given opinions.
Oh, the only thing I have written for this episode is an in-world question, which is what exactly separates the monsters from the monster people here? And that wasn't really something to have answered. It was just like we encounter
what do you
we
mean?
encounter that lizard thing, and they're talking about it like it's like a lesser creature. They're like, oh, those things are the guardians of whatever, and it like looks at it and it just like has
Probably
like that
speech.
weird like sense of understanding. It was like what really separates a monster from a monster person? And yeah, that's kind of what I thought.
Probably
That's
speech.
Like the ability of some common shared language, I guess.
I mean, to them, they could be seen as like actual, like how we see like dogs and cats, or like maybe a better example, like wolves and bison as like beasts. They might
Yeah.
see it as the same way, like 'cause
Like
they.
I don't.
Just so you guys know, I'm not sexually attracted to harpies. I
Joey.
swear.
Cool.
Fuck.
So
Oh no, I think you're
I'm
just
sending,
you're in
those
denial
to
at
your
this point.
college.
we'll let Dylan take this L and move on to the next show for good then. And you know what? The complaints were good. We're all in agreement. Somali's a great show, and that Dylan just loves harpies.
I don't love harpies. I just think they're kind of cool and hot. I mean, wait.
Relatable.
Last up, I don't know why I have Azalé's name still on here. She's not important for this episode. Alex is gonna be taking a backseat for Sorcerer, Stabber, Orphan, though I'm sure he can give his opinion about the overall show, which I don't think has changed since the last time we heard from him. This week in Orphan, we get it. It's interesting. We dive in the Fenrir Forest, which is not a surprise. It has a wolf in it. Is not a surprise. The surprise is the wolf's not a wolf; it's a dragon. So this episode decides to give us backstory lore of the world, which I was not ready and or expecting of, that there is this group of 6 different dragons, the weird dragons, which, yes, because I don't even think a single one of them is a dragon. And we are introduced to what is weird, because when we finally meet this Fenrir, he calls it a Fenrir, not Fenrir. So I don't know if there's multiple of the weird dragons, or if it's literally just
It could be
the
just
Fenrir, and
subtitle.
it's a weird, yeah, it's a weird translation maybe. I've been like so iffy on this episode, because like we open with a scene of Magic protecting. I don't even want to say her fucking name.
Clam.
Cleome?
Clam.
They pronounce it Climo in the show,
Climo? I'll pronounce
which
it
is
Climo
dumb
then.
because that's not how it's actually spelled.
Yeah, it's
like
dumb.
like
we have-
keyhole cilantro. It's not actually spelled Creelan. It's pronounced. It's spelled Creelancho, not Kirlancho.
Yeah. So,
Kirlancho. They
we have- we have
the show's dumb.
we have Magic watching over her as she bathes in a river. They don't show us anything really, and then Orphan yells at Magic because he's humming. He's humming to create sound to then project so that he can spy on her. Which the only good part about this scene is that Orphan just kicks him, and then also that we get that really cool explanation of like the distortion of sound and how it can be manipulated for more magic, and we get to see that Magic. I hate this. We get to see that Magic, the person, is learning sorcery at a really fast rate, which brings the question: doesn't that mean he's a descendant of a dragon because he can learn sorcery? And we learned that this episode. There's some confusing things here. I'm at the point with Orphan where I'm no longer trying to understand everything. I'm just going to take it in, and if I get it, I get it, and if the show's cool, it's cool. My biggest problem with this episode is the fight choreography between Orphan and this tribe of villagers, because the martial arts looks cool when it's 2 skilled martial artists fighting really fast. Doesn't look so good when he's just kind of like flipping people really quick left and right, and they have no reaction because it just looks like they sped up the fight choreography. I'm interested in this episode because we see Fenrir talk to him as if he's going to grant him some massive power and that he needs it and or wants it. The wording of that dialogue's weird, and I'm curious to see where this goes. And otherwise, I don't know. I don't know how long I'm comfortable with them spending in this forest. I don't know how much more in depth they go into these weird dragons. Like this show definitely still suffers from the where's the plot? Right now the plot's a dragon that's also a wolf, and you know what? A+ from me. I don't think it's that strong of an episode though. This is a weaker episode than I think the past few weeks have been for Orphan.
Did anyone not like this show? Okay, Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't think this episode was bad. I think it was completely fine. I thought it was a pretty strong episode for the show. I guess it's not as strong as episode 3. I think it was where we had the whole when Azalee came out for being a dragon. I thought that was a really good episode. This was still a strong episode, except for the whole. I mean, the magic thing at the beginning was kind of with Magic using a sorcery to spy on Climo was kind of funny. But it kind of overstayed its welcome, in my opinion, for a little bit. But it wasn't like oh no, this is terrible. It wasn't like Plunderer kind of bad. But it overstayed its welcome for an extra like 30 seconds, in my opinion. And was it you? We got to see our little 2 shit kids again. Not super happy to see them. I don't like them as characters.
Oh
in any
yeah, they
capacity.
showed.
I wish they just stabbed them in that shed.
Yeah, that would have been fantastic, and they would have
we
been
don't kill
gone
kids now here,
forever.
unless it's Somali. Fuck
Molly.
that bit.
I don't know. I don't think there was anything really bad about this episode. I mean, Magic getting shot was kind of funny. He's like, oh, I'm gonna do it. Fucking shot. I'm like, oh, all right. Uncle Magic's dead. I mean, not
Dude,
dead,
you don't
just
die
dead.
from bullets to the lower
I
right
mean-
abdomen.
He's not dead. He just passed out. The boy's never been shot before because guns are outlawed by the church.
Yeah,
Except the one guy. Except the one guy.
He's not part of the church. He's a part of the people who worship the dragon wolves.
the Dragon Church.
Two different
Yeah.
churches.
Well, there's two faiths, and let me express this by drawing two circles and drawing the first letter of either one. So you have the Dragon Faith, circle D, and you have the Kemluck Church, circle K. I'm not gonna elaborate anymore by drawing, but that's all I got.
This is
I
the
was like-
extent
I
of
was
my
looking at it, I was
artistic
like,
ability.
You could have just told me and not drew them like that, bro.
I also enjoy when she's like, I wasn't very good at history, but we know both her and Magic partake in like the reenactment battle club or whatever it is.
True.
So it's,
Soldier
I
Club.
appreciate that just means their characters are, I don't care about any piece of information that's useful. I just want to beat the shit out of things. And that's exactly what she tries to do this episode. Like, I like it. I want to see the next episode at least. Is
Yeah,
where
same.
I sit with Orphan.
Yeah.
Elvis.
I very much enjoyed the whole history part. I really like. I think when it comes to me personally, I really enjoy when shows do that, where we get like insight on the world itself and how things work, similar to Inspector when they just like when she kind of when what's her name?
Monsters Imagination.
Yeah, basically the whole thing with her explaining how Nanase came to like be like that was really enjoyable to like hear and like hear all of that similar to the
Mhm.
Orphan. I really enjoyed like that kind of stuff. Helps build the show,
Mhm.
and it makes me way more excited to see what happens next. And like, now that we have some insight onto like Fenrir, like what exactly is gonna go on with, like what their interaction is gonna be then, because if we would have just gotten Fenrir without that whole background information, it's kind of like we're left in the dark. We don't really understand anything, and we're just waiting for whatever.
Alex, you did not get to watch this episode of Orphan, but based on our discussion, how do you think you feel about the show in this week's episode?
I don't know, dog. It feels like this is a real drug trip of background information.
What, can you say that
It's
again?
not pet level drug trip, but like
I mean, I'm trying to figure out if I want to worship the dragon or a dog.
No,
I
the
don't
dog's a
really-
dragon.
the dog's the dragon.
Yeah, see,
Yeah,
see,
that's
the Dragon
not as
Faith-
helpful as you seem to think it is.
So you have three sectors. You have the people who worship the dragons. You have the church who doesn't worship the dragons, who worship the three goddesses. Right?
Yes, which
The
is
weird
the
sisters.
Klimluck Church
And
or
then,
whatever.
and then you have the sorcerers who are descendants of the dragons, but who the worshippers of the dragons hate because they stole the magic from being descendants, and then
Yep.
who are also hated by the church because the church doesn't like sorcery because they're descendants of the dragons.
Yes.
Yeah,
It makes
I
perfect
know
sense.
you
That
think
honestly
that
does.
helped, but
So,
I don't think you
look,
understand.
look,
There are
look.
7 types of dragons: dragons, wolves, celestials. I don't remember the rest, but
Weird
they're
turtle
all
thing.
dragons.
okay. look,
Weird turtle
There's-
thing.
There's only one type of animal I want to be understanding in my anime right now, and it's a turtle, and his name is Syrup.
Oh, true.
Good for
Is
you.
that a
I think-
harpy
I
named
think-
Eizouken?
Stop.
I
No one
think
mentioned
one of the
harpies.
I think one of the dragons is a turtle, Alex. You should really watch this episode and make sure, and it might redeem
Yeah,
the show.
You're not gonna trick me.
Maybe
I
its
think it
name would be
is.
I
It's,
think
no,
one
it's
of them
it's
is
a
a turtle.
it's a rhinoceros turtle.
Yes.
Oh, see, that's scuffed.
That's scuffed.
Shout out
I
to
mean,
Syrup.
I am done with Orphan.
I'm satisfied. Yeah, the
do we
show's
have anything
fucking
else?
good. Show's
Wait,
fine.
guys, I'm looking up the types of dragons. Hold on a moment.
Okay. Yeah,
Turtle,
I don't-
turtle,
that's very
turtle, and
important.
Syrup.
I'm gonna
I-
submit my vote.
I'm also
Michael
gonna
didn't
submit
like-
mine.
Michael didn't like this week's episode of Defense Build because you didn't get the syrup pun.
Yep,
I think
it.
that's
My-
true.
Yep, that's definitely it.
You know, you know where Michael and I stand. I'm on a boat. In my honest opinion, I'd be fine if everything stayed this week, but I'm voting off the show that I think is the worst. And that's
Yeah, and I gotta admit, I can't wait for Darwin's game to not get voted off. Could talk 22 minutes straight at probably the loudest volume she possibly can to, just so you know that Darwin's game's the worst show next week.
Listen,
I
when your
mean-
show gives me a waifu as good as Asuka or whatever her name is, then your show can stay. But until then, Darwin's game gets a free pass for waifu material.
Okay, so that So there are 6 races of dragons that aren't dragons, except they are dragons. You have celestials, bears, wolves, lions, rhinoceroses with turtle shells that are also rock, and then horses/unicorns. I think it's just horses.
Yeah,
Those
but
are
it
all
sounded-
dragons. Those are my
it sou-
favorite dragons.
Have you guys
It
submitted?
sounded like you said bear.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I'll submit.
Oh
Kuma?
wow! I bet that would be a really good joke, Kuma.
Jokuma.
I
No, I
submitted.
did not submit. Give me a second.
Darwin's game is sitting at 2 slays. Dorohedoro 0 slays.
Best show right now.
Eizouken 1 slay. I Hate Being in Pain 2. Orphan 1. So,
Oh.
ladies and gentlemen, that means we have a tie. Yeah, so okay, so our 2 shows are Darwin's Game and Defense Build are on the table.
Okay.
Who would like to defend? Do we want to have the people who pick the shows defend the shows?
Sure.
I think everyone who wants
I-
to keep the show should.
Okay.
Do you mind if I just point something out really
Yeah.
quick before we discuss this? And I'm not trying to basically blatant take a side, but I think the reason we're voting these shows off is because we don't. I think we're voting these shows off for the same reason. We just don't like how one is doing it more than the other or less than the other, if that makes sense. Both these shows, the people who are arguing Darwin's Game are arguing that the system itself just doesn't like make sense, as well as I Hate Being in Pain, right? So these 2 shows are flawed. It's just which one's worse.
I voted for both.
What?
Huh.
Elvis, did you vote for neither?
I voted for neither.
Yeah. So it's me and Michael on Defense Build, and Michael and Dylan on Darwin's Game.
Mhm.
Yo, what guys? Come on, these shows aren't that bad. But you know what
Okay.
it is? Probably Orphan Pepe.
I think so. To me, I feel like Darwin's Game getting another episode compared because I was gonna vote off. I was gonna go defense build as well, but I was like, I'll like let it unless it came to a situation like this where I'd rather have Darwin's Game stay because I knew it was gonna have some slays. That's when I'd kind of rethink what I was doing. But like, I feel like Darwin's Game getting another episode over Fence Build. I think Darwin's Game can do more with it, especially with the ending that we
see.
just had.
I got a problem with that though, because Darwin Game has one less episode than everyone else. So it's not that they're behind. They're perfectly in sync. They just have less.
Yeah. That is
You know what I
true.
mean? And I'm thinking the future direction of these shows, which show am I more excited to watch next? It's not Darwin's Game. I could totally cut Darwin's Game out of my week right now, even though it's a good show and I might watch it just for curiosity's sake. I will not be rolling in my sleep at night if this show goes. Hype Being in Pain, I have some hopes for it. I think it could turn around. Turn around from what I already thought was pretty good. I think it could really improve on what it's doing and maybe add this party system that some people want so much. And it's a good show. You know what I mean? I don't see the potential in Darwin. I don't see it. Comparatively, obviously, super comparatively.
I don't know if my complaint about Defense Build kind of got over the way I wanted it to. It's not like my big problem isn't that it doesn't have this party system. My big problem is that I honestly do just feel like it's a repeating cycle of a show and I'm not enjoying it.
That is my
Um,
issue as well.
Couldn't
and,
you argue
like-
Eizouken's the same?
I enjoy the characters in Eizouken. Like they're the reason I watch the show, and I enjoy the art in Eizouken. Like there are aspects of that show I enjoyed more this week watching it, and that I've enjoyed overall more. Like Eizouken for me had like
Okay.
2 rough weeks. Like here's the thing for me: Defense Build and Darwin's Game are sitting at literally the exact same overall score for me on how I feel on a week-to-week basis.
Sure.
But the only reason Darwin Game took a hit and wasn't because Darwin Game for me was consistently running a line of like it's pretty good. It's above average. It's an okay show. I like it. It took a hit because it didn't have an episode last week. Like that was the big hit for me. This week it didn't make me go, oh man, it really needed that episode last week. It made me go, this is fine. Like it didn't make me go, God, this episode was not anything I wanted. It didn't do anything. Like it gave me characters to be excited to see be expanded on. And while I feel the same way about the Fence Bolt, I want to see more of these characters. Obviously, it's one of the things I've argued for. Darwin's game already has the characters in place to do that. Whereas I feel like Defense Build still has to spend another episode establishing them again and getting them integrated if that's what it's going for. Maybe I'm being misconstrued and I'm not going to see a party in Defense Build. And maybe that will work out in its favor for now. This is tough for me. I'm going to keep thinking on this while other people discuss.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to take up all the talking, so please other people talk.
So for me, I voted off both originally, and I'm assuming
what
now
the
we're gonna
fuck?
only be. See, I've
He can vote what he
I've
wants.
so I've consistently been voting my bottom
Yeah.
2 of each week that I thought were the weakest of that week. That's just what I've been doing, and I thought these 2 were the weakest shows at this point. Well, as I said in the discussion, I think Defense Build had a terrible episode this week. If I was to vote for one, I don't know how we're gonna do this. That's not the one I'm voting off. I think Defense Build as in general has been a better show. This week was just really low, in my opinion. Darwin's game has been consistently very average to below average.
And that's what I was saying at the beginning. Like, remember, when we cut this show off, we don't watch it anymore. Which one do you not want to watch anymore? Right? It's not which show had the worst of this week, which you were arguing. It's which show do you not want to watch anymore?
So like here, like I'm in an odd spot because I don't like Defense Build this week, but this week to me was so bad that I don't know if I want to give it another chance. Whereas Darwin's game, I didn't feel that offended by it. Is kind of where I sit. In my opinion, I would rather watch next week's episode of Darwin's game over Defense Build. That is honestly how I
Wow.
feel.
See,
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's how I feel. That's how I feel. Like I don't know, and I think Sean brought up a good point. Like if there is going to be an introduction to characters for Defense Build, like it still kind of needs another episode. Like Darwin's game has
But
something
it
set
didn't
up
get
right
one.
now.
It didn't get one. That was the thing. It got cut. It's one less episode. They're in completely equal playing grounds.
Yeah,
But
no, I
it's
agree
going
with
to
you, but I
need.
feel like if I put the two shows side by side, I feel like the characters are better in Darwin's game for me. And I'm looking at that as they're on the same level.
I don't.
I'm not saying that like they need another
Bruh.
episode and it should have had it. I'm saying right now to me, I enjoy Darwin's game's characters more. I think they have far more room to have more depth and like it's they're two very different shows is the thing. So like I feel like Darwin's game has a chance to really dive into its characters, and that's not what Defense Build is gonna do. So to me, I don't think Defense Build is the show I want to watch.
I
Which is
think
which
Darwin,
is like what this
as
is.
the person who picked Defense Build, I think and has no stake in this fight actually at the moment because I didn't vote for either. I think Darwin's game has a far more interesting premise. I feel like Defense Build is only ever going to get worse because for me it exists mostly as a gag show. It's like literally if someone watched SAO and they said, okay, but what if they actually just wanted to make Kirito busted, and then they made Defense Build.
I never
Yeah,
watched SAO.
I think it's a bit
Oh.
different when you watch so many of those types of shows where like Darwin's game's unique, like has uniqueness to it. Like
Isekai number
defense
140.
build, I could watch 20 shows like it. Like I have watched however many shows like it, and it's just like yeah, it's a decent show, but it's like it doesn't do anything special. Like it's generic. Like it's literally just generic to me. Like I don't know, and I just find like I'd rather see Darwin's game over the show. Like with Defense Build, we've like every week has pretty much just been the same. Like to me, like and that's not an issue for me personally. It's just the issue of right now where I have to pick one show over another. Where I'm like, yeah, I don't mind the repetition, but that is the issue. And like I said, like if I'm gonna pick one over the other, it's gonna be Darwin's game.
I have a feeling that no matter what show we kick off this week, the other one's going next week, unless
think-
Orphan crumbles.
I think that's a good possibility. I mean,
It's just I think one show deserves a better chance than the other, and you guys obviously think differently, which is fine. If no one's budging, I think we're okay with just doing another vote.
I've already posted it.
Sean, you didn't read the name I gave you for that last one. You didn't read the name I put in for that form.
Would you like me to read aloud?
Yes, please do.
Alex. Nikaido is really just a good character. Don't read into my interest anymore. Alex. Okay.
Thank you.
So I should probably
Do we have to vote Slay, or can we vote save?
You can vote save for both.
Yeah, you can vote save for both.
Yeah, screw you
Or
guys.
Slifer both if you fucking hate them.
Ooh.
Wait, I feel like that just puts us on a never-ending cycle, but I don't think we have to worry
Chaos
about
Demon.
that
Wow.
this
Chaos Demon.
No, I think our thing is that if we end up with a tie after second vote, then
Yeah,
it
then
goes
we
to
win.
the wheel.
Yeah, then it wheels.
Please tell me it's another tie.
Please tell me.
I wanted to go to the wheel. I don't want to make this decision.
What's the count?
I was thinking about my vote. Okay, calm down.
Ooh.
Let's fucking go!
Ooh, Sean, pop off.
No, cause being 100% honest, what I was thinking about was whether or not I wanted to try to send it to a wheel or not. But I decided I'm gonna
Okay.
stand by my opinions.
Mhm.
Oh my fucking god! It
Is
is
it a tie?
2 slays to 2 slays again.
Hell
Pog!
yeah.
Well, here we
I-
go, boys.
oh
time
my
to go to
God.
the.
Just want to kick them both off? Fuck it.
I very much a no. That leads to problems. Where's
You know,
my?
I'll watch the
ha-
other show. It doesn't matter what one goes off.
Where?
Yeah.
I,
No,
I
I
know
think
this
at this
one.
point I'm probably gonna watch at least one more episode of when it gets kicked off.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think that's.
I just need
like-
to watch Darwin's game one more time to make sure the waifu survives. So
I hope
If I
she
could get that
dies
episode.
just to make
all
this
the
show
shows that
better.
are left right
You know
now,
what,
I'm
Dylan?
gonna watch in full for sure.
Honestly, if you don't think Shuka's the problem with Darwin's game, you're delusional.
that's
I can't wait for Konami to save her and then she just gets fucking naked.
I'm not gonna lie, I got
Uh.
pretty pissed today when Noi got shot directly through the forehead and was like, "Yeah, no, I actually healed it in 0.35 of a second. Thank you for understanding."
It was
my
not 0.35. I actually counted. It was like 17.
Wow, Pog.
It was
Was
kinda
that because
fun.
there's a cutaway?
Pepe
Bro,
hands.
cutaway. It's still time. Still time.
It's still
No freeze frame.
time.
No freeze frame. What are we doing?
I'm setting up the wheel.
Sean,
Holy
it's
fuck.
12:30 in the morning. Please,
I am going. I have to do this fairly, and I have to do it.
dude. Type, send. Okay, easy. Coin flip.
You
Oh
have to
my
stream
god.
it too.
I know that's what I'm
Yeah,
gonna do.
if you don't stream it, I think it's faked.
Michael is
Dude, I'm
right
so
over my
hungry.
shoulder. Let's do this.
By the
Wait,
way,
where does it go to?
Right. I didn't think about
Oh,
Oh my God, you dirty enter. Wait.
that. If
So
I'm
does that
being
mean
on,
that one goes?
If I'm being on, that is usually how we do it. It is
No.
usually the one
Ro-
that gets selected
okay, hold
that
on.
goes.
Fuck
So-
yeah. All right. See you guys.
Hold on, Alex. What?
Kidding,
I was
kidding,
gonna say,
kidding, kidding.
I was gonna say, why don't we agree on that and then spin it again?
I thought. Wait.
I mean, yeah. I
Wait.
don't know.
Wait.
It's
Hold on. This
honestly
sounds-
whatever,
This
but
sounds like collusion now.
it's honestly whatever, but
Best 2 out of
I
3.
can just spin it again.
Best 3 out of 5. Best 3 out of 5.
Best 3 out of 5. Is that where we're at?
Okay, yeah, so if it gets
Best 5 out of
selected
7.
3 out of 5 times it goes, is that what we're doing?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
I
do it.
think it's clear.
Send it. 3 out of 5.
Oh my god, this is so. This is
Miracle Run.
actually. This is
Miracle
insanely
Run.
scuffed.
if we save Darwin's game, I'm actually gonna just leave. Sean agreed to it. Wait a minute.
Run.
This is actually scuffed.
The Miracle Run.
Oh my!
I
it's
want
so
I want
scuffed.
no claims of collusion.
It's
Now it's the
so
best of 1.
scuffed.
Now it's
I
the best
want
of
it-
1.
All I'm saying is now there has to be consistency. It has to be 3 out of 5 for any
I-
show.
I wanted to know. This is gonna be a problem when we have like
No.
multi-way ties. Oh, but we're
If
actually
just-
trying to get it down to only 2 every time, right? That's the
If
goal.
Yes.
defense build actually rolls 3 in a row, that's the stats saying fact.
It's so scuffed.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's fake. It's fake. It deserves. There you go.
Damn. 5 out of 7.
That's not how that works.
9.
Hey, next time if it goes to the wheel, it's 1 roll.
7 out of
Yeah,
13.
Maybe it should be clarified, you know?
Okay,
At
so
Sean,
there
at
is-
Sean, at Sean, at Sean, at Sean.
Yes. Hey guys, it's Sean. So I actually forgot to mark this at the end of the episode, but that's it for this week. Just so you know, on the wheel, Darwin's game was eliminated over defense build. So tune in next week, guys, for that. Hope you guys enjoyed this week, and have a great night.